Dr. Owusu Mensah is here to talk to us today about Ghanaian politics and electoral messaging in the 2024 elections. I had a quick look at Isaac's bio. It's very impressive if you want to go have a look yourself. I see you've even been appointed by the President of Ghana at times to be the Director of Research at the Office of the President from January 2021 to 2025. Very interesting. Sat on a number of different prestigious boards, very prolific in terms of his publications, an expert on democratization, electoral politics, governance and development, and the politics of identity. So we're really happy to have you here today. When Isaac first emailed me, I thought, well, Isaac emailed saying he was coming through on his way to a conference in Dunedin. Would we like him to give a seminar? I said, absolutely. But I must admit, I was like, Ghana, like Africa, Northwest. So it's always good to have people to come here and tell us about places that otherwise we may not be super aware of, so to speak. We've had a good chat. We've learned a bit in our pre-seminar conversation. And look, I'll just hand it over to you, Isaac. But thanks a lot for coming along today and talking to us. We appreciate it. Come on up.
Is it good to be?
There we go. There we go.
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, I also came with my wife.
Sorry, I should have introduced you.
No, that's okay.
Her name is
The brains behind the operation.
Eunice. Eunice, as in the Bible. Good. So I'm very happy to be here. Honestly, I'm very, very happy. This is the first time coming to New Zealand. So I'm very happy to be here. Also, I think we are not in the camp. We have some freedom. Yes, as I said, I'm very happy to be here. The first time I've been to Australia before, that was 2018, and I also in Australia came for the what we call IPSA, the International Political Science Association World Congress, and it moved every 2 years from this country to that country. This year it was held in South Korea, Seoul, and next 2027 to be held in Italy. So it moved every 2 years to them. So if you are a student here and you want to have global friends, one of the places that you should meet. Not only friends, all the big names come there. The editors, the grand owners, you meet all of them at IPSA. So it's always important to be at IPSA to meet. There's always competition between the Europeans and the Europeans, the Americans, and also the Australians. They come there a lot, so you meet all the people. The conference we say that everybody is nobody. All the big names become nobody to them. So when I had the opportunity to come to New Zealand for the biannual conference, I said, why not take opportunity to meet? Because I've heard this university, Waikato, but the first time I heard Waikato was the IPSA 2016. It was done in Poznan in Poland. One day I met a friend there. I said, where you come from? Come from Ghana. Oh, I'm also coming from New Zealand, the University of Waikato. I said, Waikato? Okay, let me look for it. So I went to look for University of Waikato and then we started discussing and all that. Unfortunately, I lost his contract. I've even forgotten the name. It would have been the first person I was looking for. So I decided to come and give this lecture here for us to have a discussion about Ghana, because most of you, I'm sure, may not have learned about Ghana at all in your studies, even Africa. So I was talking to Ruben, I was telling that it's time you have a Center for African Studies here. Unfortunately, you have one African here, so I'm sure you can bring it up a lot. So basically, I'll just take us through Ghana, how our political history has developed over the years briefly, and then we just come to the messaging thing, and then we just ask some questions and answer the question to discuss about it. So before independence, Ghanaians were colonized by the British. There were a lot of colonial masters, but the last one was the British. They took us through. So our language has been English. Last we also have English here. I think that is good. All of us, we can communicate easily. So before independence, we had a number of ethnic groups that were having their own form of control. We have the Ashanti Kingdom, the Ewe, the Wombes, different ethnic groups. But when we came together to become the independent state called Ghana, then we started having a formalized way of organizing ourselves. So before the 1957, we have different ethnic groups having different arrangement, different form of political systems here and there. But when we became a republic, that was 1957, 6th of March 1957, we had a gentleman called Kwame Nkrumah, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He became the prime minister until 1960. 1960, the Ghana became a republican state. So the British government, or even the Queen at the time, was not in charge of the activities of the country anymore. So Ghana became independent 1957, the republican state 1960. And then from 1957 to 1966, Kwame Nkrumah, or the first president, ruled prime minister, then the president. He ruled up to 1966. And then, unfortunately, we had a coup in 1966. We had a coup in 1966. The coup was led by the military, and the name of the government they formed was National Liberation Council, to liberate Ghana from the excesses of the Kwame Nkrumah's administration. So when the liberated Ghana enrolled for this number of years, we had elections, and election was conducted, and then we had a second republic. The second republic continued until 1972, and then the military came again. The second republic, we had a president, we had a parliamentary system. So we had a president named Edward Akufo-Addo, and then we had a prime minister named Kofi Buzia. Then from that time, then we had the military come in again. When they came again, they called them Supreme Military Council. We have Supreme Military Council 1 and 2, National Redemption Council. All this time were time we called in Ghana history coups and counter coups. It continued until 1979. Then in 1979, we had elections again, and then we had a third republic. Then we had a third republic, and then the military came in again. And then when the military came in again, they ruled from 1981 to 1992. Then by God's grace, 1993 up to now, we've had democracy. And democracy has been ruling up to now. Now, this is where Ghana is located. I'm sure you know Africa already, but Ghana is a small country there. And from Ghana onto your right, we have two other countries called Togo, Benin. They are all French-speaking countries. On top of Ghana, we have Burkina Faso, also French-speaking country. On the left of Ghana, we have La Côte d'Ivoire, also French-speaking country. So technically, our real neighbor are the Nigerians. They speak English. So a lot of Ghanaians go to Nigeria for business. Nigerians also come to Ghana for business, and we live very well. So they are our small brothers. They were born big. Because we were born 57, they were born in 1960. So to be older, you must be born first. And we were born first. But just that they were born big. You know, you can be small like me, and you have a junior brother who is born big. So that's how Ghana and Nigeria relationship has been. And we've been really telling them that they are junior brothers in terms of soccer and other things. Avi?
I'll see you afterwards.
So basically, that's where Ghana is. And let me also say this about Ghana. When we were coming, we were talking about it. Ghana, we have a lot of resources, natural resources. We have gold. We have a lot of gold. But from the last election, we got to know that we are yet to mine 10% of our gold. You have been mining for centuries now, and we are yet to mine 10% of our gold. So we still have a lot of gold. We have diamond. We have oil. We have manganese. We have bauxite. The timber, now we can't talk about timber so much because we've harvested a lot of timber away. So we have a lot of resources, and we also have some form of human resource as well. We have a beautiful ocean around our area and a number of things. So this is where Ghana we are located. And because of our geolocation, we have a lot of Chinese in Ghana now, because Chinese are interested in the mineral resources. So we have a lot of Chinese in Ghana now. And they are not, they go to the villages where the gold are, and people are mining gold. And this gold is now becoming a problem for us as well, because of lack of employment opportunities. A lot of the young ones try to find their own means of extracting the gold, to the extent that they have machines that's able to detect where the gold are. So if in your home, people are able to detect that there's a gold in your home here, you come and dig it under your house to extract the gold, and there's already market for the gold. So it's becoming a big problem for us. It's becoming a big curse of having the gold. Yes. Oil, not a problem for us, as in the case of Nigeria and other countries as well. But the gold is a problem for us. Bauxite and diamond is not a big problem, but the gold is a problem for us as a country. And to be honest with you, the gold is threatening lives in Ghana because people are using all form of crude means of extracting the gold from the soil that they are using mercury, destroying waters and all that. I will talk a little about it. So, into the 2024 election. So let me just, any questions so far so that we can discuss? Or you actually want me to finish before?
I guess I'll quickly ask the size of kind of Ghana's economy relative to other countries around it. Like I know South Africa and Nigeria are big in Africa. Do you know at all where Ghana would be in sort of a hierarchy? Or?
Nigeria and South Africa are very big economies in the region. But you also have Egypt. The economy of Egypt is also quite huge. Morocco as well. And before the destruction of Libya used to have a very huge economy as well because of the control over the oil. Yeah, I'm sure you may have read or know that in in Libya before the death of Muammar Gaddafi, houses were provided. You built houses, people were giving free money because the state had a lot of money at that time. So in terms of the size of the economy, the Ghanaian economy is quite small as compared to even La Côte d'Ivoire. La Côte d'Ivoire have a huge economy as well because they are mainly agriculture. They have a strong influence in agriculture. And if you go to a place like Kenya, the Kenyan economy is also quite big. There are a number of big economies. So in terms of economic size, we are quite small. Yeah. Yes, sir.
You mentioned the excesses of Kwame Nkrumah. What did that look like? Because of like when people speak about Kwame, we speak about him being a independence revolutionary, but not a lot of people know about his domestic politics. So
yes, in fact, Kwame Nkrumah internationally seemed to be doing very well. He gave Guinea £10 million when they had an issue with their country. But in terms of domestic, there were a lot of problems. First, in 1957, when Kwame Nkrumah became the prime minister, he was the prime minister for 3 years, then became the president in 1960. But his name was in the constitution. So Kwame Nkrumah was a president for life. There was no opportunities of removing Kwame Nkrumah or if we're changing Kwame Nkrumah from not being the president, number one. Number two, elections were organized according to his way. So you have a nomination open and then have a list of people, then you decide this person become the member of parliament here, that person become member of parliament. So the opportunity of choice is virtually non-existent. Number two, opposition were trampled upon and freedom and rights were not, freedom and rights of people were trampled upon and people didn't have the opportunity to express themselves. Or if you express yourself, there were all kinds of legal instruments that were used to arrest and if you want to control the opposition. One of them was a preventive detentive act. Number of legal instruments. So Kwame Nkrumah really was a very British leader, if I may put it in this context. And his argument was that Ghana was a developing country and therefore needed a very strong leader to be able to develop the country. So if we're going to succumb to the ideals of the West, as he called it, the country couldn't have developed. Then consequently, he implemented all those draconian measures that didn't support the country. Yes, please.
Were the military coups because of the many ethnicities and they wanted it to be more regulated?
The military coups, this is what happened.
What was the reason?
Now, there's a number of theories explaining the military intervention in politics. One of them was that because Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana, as I said, was a British colony. And when Kwame Nkrumah gained power, that time was also the heat of the Cold War. So when he got power, he linked up with the Russians, which was not in favor of the British. So he came to form what they call non-aligned movement. Non-aligned movement means that they are neither the West or the East. But to be honest with you, as you know the system very well, if you are a child and you get away from your parents, you don't expect to go to the robber parent. So this is what exactly was happening to Kwame. So in view of that, the CIA, or if you want the Americans, were not in favor of the things or some of the policies of Kwame Nkrumah. So they instigated the military to take over power, to get Kwame Nkrumah out of it. And don't forget, Kwame Nkrumah was also very instrumental in the formation of the African Union. So he was putting Africa together as one big country where he became the president like the United States of America. And the West considered to be quite detrimental to their interests. Because if the whole of the African continent becomes one country like the United States, they could challenge the United States at the end of the day. Because if you talk about resources, Africa have resources more than any other continent you can think about. Because we have every continent, we have oil, we have Greenland, we have the youth, we have diamond. Just mention all the resources. We have the resources. So if Africa comes together as one country, it is that we are not selling our oil to the West. We are not selling our minerals to the West. I think the rest of the world will not be happy with it. Both Europeans and both the Americans as well. So this is what I was trying to do. But the coup had nothing to do with ethnicity. Yeah. Ghana, we have a lot of ethnic groups. But we don't have proper identity politics, proper identity politics as other countries have. So the coup, because those who organized the coup, we have the Ewes, we have the Northerners, we have the Akans. These are major ethnic groups, and the Gans. They are the major ethnic groups in Ghana. All of them coalesce and form the coup and form the government. Yes, please.
I want to know, start which period of sorry, my English is not.
Don't worry at all.
Second. I want to know, start of which period of time the Chinese in Ghana is become more and more. Is start on last century or this century?
Oh, just this century. The Chinese influence in Ghana, I would think that in the last 10 to 15 years. Before then, Chinese were not in Ghana at all. Of course, we had a Chinese embassy there, and we had 1 or 2 Chinese. But in the last 5 years, the presence of Chinese have become very huge. And mostly they are in the area of the gold. They are also establishing a lot of China malls. Yeah, China malls. And also beyond that, a lot of Ghanaians have developed the taste for Chinese products. So people go to China a lot to buy and come and sell, which is very cheap as compared to bringing it from Europe. So and the Chinese is serious to the extent that instead of people going to China to buy, the Chinese bring the goods to Ghana and set up a warehouse and start selling to the Ghanaian people as well. Yeah. Please, can I continue? Any questions? Please. So now we came to the discussion about the politics of the 2024 elections. And now before, let me go back and discuss this much more. So from 1992, when the military ended, we had the Fourth Republic, which started from 1993 up to now. Now, in terms of the Fourth Republic, we have 2 major political parties. We have the NDC, National Democratic Congress, and the NPP, New Patriotic Party. Now, what happens is that with reference to this political party, one of them is center-right, that's the NPP, and we have the NDC, center-left. Now, when you move from the military intervention, we had the NDC taking over, they ruled for 8 years. Then we have NPP coming in, ruled for 8 years. NDC coming back, ruled for 8 years. NPP going back, ruled for 8 years. Now it's NDC again. So we had 4 alternations from 1992 up to now, or 93 up to now, which we think that for purposes of podcast science, this is very good for the country. There's no chance of going back to the previous arrangement of military coups and counter coups, So we are hoping to see that this system will continue for a while. But there's a country at the top of Ghana called Burkina Faso. The Burkina Faso have a leader who is a military leader. The military leader is doing wonderful. He's doing so well for the people, building a lot of projects, using the resources of the country to build a lot of projects, helping the very ordinary people. So people of Ghana are very happy with him. And because they're happy with him, it's quite scary for us as political scientists, because if this guy in Burkina Faso comes to Ghana to contest the election, he will win. Because people like him. They like, but you see people with their motorbike with his pictures on it. Yes, we are in Ghana, but they are in Burkina Faso, and people have his pictures on the motorbike, and that is very dangerous for us. So people are becoming tasteful of military intervention. They got used to both NPP and NDC, and they think that the next level is to have somebody with a stronger leadership qualities with the country will need at the end of the day. Any questions still? Okay. So now we're coming to this. So in 2024 is the end of the NPP administration, and we had election. And then to have an election, we have what we call the mood of the country. And the mood of the country at the time was that, I'll just briefly explain the mood of the country. I simply say that political behavior is a function of the mood of the country and propelled by political communication. It means that the mood of the country into an election will tell you either this party A will win or this party B will win. It depends on how it is communicated to them and how people have the analysis and understanding of the conditions of them at that particular time. It is shaped by a number of political, economic, and social factors at the end of the day. And it's also important, and I was talking to Ruben earlier when he was telling me that, yeah, we've had a 3-year system of government whereby party A comes and party B comes, but people are not very happy with it. It means that there's some form of construction of the mood of the people also in this country about this part, the government should stay or the government should move, or we should have a new state or together as well. There are some basic theories about moods of the people or moods of the country. I don't know whether we are interested in discussing theories here. I think we want to have a more discussion. We have what we call collective mood theory, effective intelligence theory, and the framing theory. I don't think that we want to have a discussion on theory. We want to have a one-on-one discussion. So if you want to talk about theory, we can talk about that later on. So now, what was the mood of the country? In very simple terms. The mood of this country, or mood of Ghana, can be divided into 3. We have the economic part, we have the politics and society part, and then we have the ecological part, I will call it. We have still not fully recovered from the COVID economically. To be honest with you, apart from COVID also, the Russia-Ukraine war, I don't know whether it had any implication for your country, but in Ghana it had a lot of implication for us. Because we import a lot of things from Ukraine, and therefore the war affected us. We bought fertilizers for farming from Ukraine. We bought a lot of rice from Ukraine and other places as well, and other items as well. So in view of that, inflation moved up to 54%, and then up to last year it came to 15%. So you imagine inflation 15%, unemployment saw up to 14.7%. But there's a study we call Afrobarometer. Afrobarometer is a survey that's being conducted to measure. There are a number of barometers. We have the Euro barometer, Afro-Asia barometer, there we have the Afrobarometer. That measures the degree of acceptance of a government. That measures trust. That measures the thinking, the performance of the government. And the Afrobarometer indicated that about 87% of Ghanaians thought that either the economy was fairly bad or very bad. So it means that the economic-wise, the mood of the country was that we need a change. And then when it comes to society and politics as well, there was an elevated form of corruption among the political elites by the Ghanaian people considered to be. Our rating in terms of the corruption was 70% bad enough, and therefore it created an organization called Operation Return All Loot, which brought in a lot of political behaviors that were seen very, very, very bad for the country at the end of the day. And some of the political behavior included politicians taking up bribes, projects not being completed because of bribe, and other corrupt attitude as well. There was also the discussion of a bill called anti-LGBT bill, anti-LGBT plus bill, which also elicited a lot of apprehension among the Ghanaian people and advocate as well. And at the same time, the Afrobarometers are indicated, they said that big survey also indicated that 75% of the Ghanaians perceived that the corruption levels were being intensified by the politicians and the political elite as well. So this is all part of the mood of the country. And then when you also progress to the environmental side, or if you want the ecological side, there were a lot of illegal mining, as I've said earlier on. We call it in Ghana as galamsey. And this was a critical issue, destroying a lot of the environment, destroying people's homes. In view of that, the entire country moved against this issue of illegal mining. We call it in Ghana as galamsey. But churches wrote pastoral letters led by the Roman Catholic Church, We also had a demonstration by the youth on the same subject. There was an attempt by the Trade Union Congress. Trade Union Congress, TUC, is the biggest labor union that also tried to embark on some form of strike by paralyzing the government so that nobody would go to work. And then to complement all this, we had a Minister for Environment in the then government who was fired, or who didn't get reappointment in the second government, wrote a report, environmental report that complicated number of government and party functionaries in the illicit gold business or gold mining activity. And all this culminated in the state where the Ghanaian people said, look, we need to have a change. So you need to have a change. We had these political parties I mentioned, NPP and NDC. NPP and NDC, both of them decided to bring their proposals as far as the election was concerned. So we come to first, trust in public institutions had eroded and consequently prompting two political parties to cast their messages along this public expectation. So what was the NDC proposal? NDC proposal was constitutional reform and implement the 2010 constitutional review report that was put in place, reduce the number of ministers, scrapping ex-gratia and other forms of benefits that the government officials will get all the time, and also trying to whip public interest. Look, there's so much waste in the public system. When we come in, we make sure that we will reduce this waste and your resources will be better useful. And then we had the NPP. NPP would also made a proposal of adoption of digitalization in governance that will reduce the interpersonal level and therefore reduce the number of interpersonal activities and consequently reduce corruption in the country. NPP also proposed the introduction of the election of the MMDC, local government executive, and all forms of means by which they think that it will also improve the government trust as well. There, in the area of environment, NDC promised the area of, as I mentioned, illegal mining had compromised the Ghana economical integrity and water resources as well. So NDC's proposal was revision of the mineral and the mining legislative framework and establishment of the Ghana Gold Board to supervise and regulate small-scale mining. And the NPP proposed enhancing accessibility to mercury-free mining and the creation of Minerals Development Bank as a means of controlling this environmental challenges that the country was facing at the time. Then we go to the third point, the economy. As for the economic driver, so economic rejuvenation was central to the two political parties. NDC's proposal was comprehensive stimulus package aimed at industrialization with tax incentive, creation of employment through the 24-hour economic policy, and the national apprenticeship program. While the NPP promised 1 million jobs in the youth and digital competences, creation of SME bank to characterize entrepreneurship, and a massive investment in agriculture and industry as well. So these were the proposals of these political parties. And then my question is, what the voters say about these political parties? Any question before I come to what the voters say? I want to hear you have some questions for me. So that I can... Yes, sir.
I think in terms of the media in Ghana, because I don't know much about how the media operates, do you find some media outlets are more center-left, center-right, pro-NPD, pro-DPP, like what is the media outlet looking like?
Thank you very much. In terms of the media, very few stations are pro-MPP and pro-NDC, very few of them. The chunk of the media are into business. They're businessmen. So what do you mean by being a businessman? Businessman simply means that if you pay me a lot, I do your story for you. If you don't pay me a lot, I read your story. Unfortunately, this is what happens. So we have a big radio station, if you guys wanted to check. One of them is the company is Multimedia. Multimedia controls a number of radio stations. For one of the powerful radio stations in Ghana is called Joy FM. And Joy FM, the staff are into business, they're businessmen. So if you pay them a lot, they tell a lot of story about you. If you don't pay them a lot, they will not do that. And now the worst part of it is that because they are being exposed to money, and people are able to, if you want, I don't want to use the word clientelism, but I'm forced to use it, or neo-patrimonialism. I don't want to use all those words, but this is unfortunately this is what is happening. They will project themselves to be very independent-minded and independent-minded. They're the packet of it.
Are they, is the media kind of free in the sense that they don't have to worry about if they say things, there'll be any violence against them or backlash or anything?
No, the media is very free in Ghana.
It's free to the extent that, money talks.
When you want to measure freedom of the media, the indicators are that a media person is able to say whatever you want to say without having a knock on his door by any politician or any security, be a national agency, or that's what you measure the freedom of the media. Then the measurement of the freedom of the media does not include somebody being in somebody's pockets. Media, there are some issues about media. The media can see Rubin instead not to have seen the Rubin. Yes, but media can see the Rubin and put the camera on Rubin. Depending on how much the media determines what to publish and what not to publish.
Yeah.
They can cover everything and decide they can do that. I know story of media going to communities, compelling wonderful documentary. Never aired. Why was it never aired? Well, they has stopped it. So we call it in Ghana killing the story. So it depends on how much resources you have, you can kill the story. Depending on how much resources you can have, you can also project the story. This is what happened in Ghana. And they play very significant role in determining the mood of the country. Because one single item, they will whip, counter-whip, over-whip the same item. But it's a critical issue, you haven't seen it. Please, any question? So, into the elections, as I indicated, political parties will come up with all kinds of ideas. And NPP and NDC have all kinds of political proposals that they brought. NDC have what they call the 24-hour economy. They had another thing called free tertiary education for level 100. They have what they call Mahama Care, a form of health insurance as well. They had Women Development Bank, and then they had a reduction of number of ministers to 60, and then they also had 1 million youth coding. And the NPP also had 1 district, 1 factory. That means that every administrative unit, you have a factory there. They also had the enhancement of the free SHS. Free SHS is a free secondary education. They had that policy as well. And then they had a stress-free passport system. NPP had all kinds of. So we asked the voters, which of these policies that you think that they are very important? And the interesting thing is that from our analysis, we got to know that voters were being whipped to the extent of the mood of the country as well. So the mood of the country, as indicated earlier on, determined somebody's political interest into the future. That means that if the economy is not doing well and you are NPP member, the mood of the country switches to a extent that you become NDC and you try to support the policy of the NDC, except the hardcore members of the party who decide to stay put where their previous preferences used to be. And consequently, the media and other social media, traditional media, and the other social media network manage to convince and also play people to support the NDC. So as we go on, you realize that people were moving from one party to another party. People were moving their interests, irrespective of where they have been voting preference in the past, to support the other parties as well. So we brought up 10 over represented voter policy combination of the two political parties. And now it's also important that I didn't talk about the survey. The survey we did, in Ghana, we have 276 constituencies. We interview 100 people, 100 voters in every constituency, and then we put the results together. Now, this question that we have here, just a few questions that were selected from the whole big pool that we did. The purpose of the pool was to understand which political party was going to win the election or which political party was going to win the election. That was what we were interested in, and that's why I did in the past. I did in 2016, 2020, 2024. wow, I don't research of the president, so I couldn't have the privilege between that. If you are the presidency, you don't have your independent academic mind to say whatever you want to say. You just have to do the research. So this one happened. So when we did this post, we noticed that NDC's policy called the 24-hour economy was one of the key ones that was highly favored by the Ghanaian people because of, I indicated there 14%, and the unemployment rate was 14%. So the 24-hour economy was that there's going to be one single job, there will be 3 people, there will be 3 shifts. One come in the morning, one come in the afternoon, one come in the night. That's what the policy proposal said. So they even when they said that teachers are going to teach in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Public service going to be open morning, afternoon, evening. And unfortunately, gullible Ghanaians bought into it. Well, now the government has come to power, getting to 1 year now, they are not able to implement it. They can't implement it. At the end of the day, it's just a public proposal that is. And then we have a program called Enhanced Free Teachers. Enhanced Free Teachers program is that before the 2016 elections, the Ghana people were paying school fees at the secondary level. So when the government came to power, they stopped that and they decided to pay responsible for free secondary education for everyone. Now, so when the NPP was campaigning in 2024, they said that the free secondary education had its own problems. So they're going to have what they call enhanced secondary education or enhanced free education. That's what they call it. And then there were other policies as well, but these were the 2 key policies that were driving the system. So this is how we realized the number of people who were voting for these 2 policies were so high. You can just see that it's so high there as compared to the other vote for 1 million jobs and all that. And the last one is called the vote for NPP, that planting for food and jobs. We had a program called Planting for Food and Jobs. Planting for Food and Jobs is a means of improving the agricultural productivity of the country, but the government supply from input to the farmers, and the farmers will use it and pay back to the government later on. So what we found striking was that from the study that we did, because people have shifted their political alliances and political alignment, policies that were even very good by the NPP, NDC saw it not to be good. And policies that were good by the NPP, NDC also saw it not to be good. So people have shifted alliances, and therefore policies that are proposed by one political party seem not to be in a good taste for the other political parties as well. And this is how the mood, and if you want, the elections and the messaging were being played. It means that the one who can shout a lot about his promise, his manifesto, is the one that was going to be supported by the people at the end of the day. So we came up to see how political parties were supporting and not supporting. So we realized that policies that were from the NDC, NPP didn't support it at all. And policies that were from the NDC, NPP didn't support it. And so as we could see it here, both NPP and NDC. Please, any question? Yes, sir.
When the government is coming up with these policies, since you were involved in all of this, right? Do they ever think where they will get the money from?
No. No. You know, this current government had a proposal called 10 billion big push. 10 billion. And nobody asked the question, where are you getting 10 billion from? Oh, no. We have friends in the Arab world. We have friends in this space. We have friends in Russia. That's what they did. They never thought about how we were going to fund it. No, they never thought about how we were going to fund it.
So this is just for messaging, not
for messaging. Oh, not for implementation. They will tell, oh, don't worry, we have the money. And you know, the people who can challenge the government when it comes to is the media. And the media is in the pockets. So when the media is in your pocket as the opposition party, and in Ghana, this what happens. When the mood of the country shifts, whatever the other party will say, the mind of the people are clouded. They cannot hear it. Their ears are closed. They cannot hear it. So the government, the opposition party say, we are going to bring 10 billion to ensure that we construct all the roads, we do the electricity, we do healthcare, we do this, we do this. Oh, that's a very good policy. There's coming up with also 24-hour economy. Everybody will get jobs to do. There will be enough jobs. There will be enough jobs. We have to bring people from Nigeria, bring people from here, bring people from here, come away. Because it's too much job. We don't have people to do whatever. They don't have anything. Unfortunately. And I'm sure this is not only in Ghana. Politicians around the world, all of them come in and make all kinds of promises. Is there any question? You have a question for me? I think very soon I'll bring the discussion to an end. So to conclude, I said that the mood of the country is favor the opposition NDC. Their messages address the conditions of the time and resonated well with the voters. The opposition led by John Dramani won 183 seats out of 276 seats, and 56% of the 60% presidential vote cast at the time. And it's also important also to put in perspective that in Ghana, the NDC and NPP have also very strong political holds. In terms of geography, the Akan ethnic group, which is more of the center, vote for the NPP, whilst the NDC take their votes from the little from the coast and a lot of votes from the northern part of the country and the Ewe community, or the eastern towards the Togo border, called the Ewe community. So in the 2024 election, most of the Akan areas, people decided not to turn out to vote. But they were not ready to go and vote for the NDC, and they would say stay home. About 2 million people stayed home instead of going to vote. Therefore, they didn't go to vote, and the NDC won the election. Because NDC managed to only get 100,000 people to go and support them. So if the NPP voters step up to vote, the NDC government cannot win power. So I'll bring the discussion to an end here, and I'll always hold on for questions. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Good question. In class, we look at sort of democratization at the global level, where really the last 15, 16 years, there's been a kind of a general decline broadly, different countries declining at different speeds, some countries improving a little bit on like different democratic indexes. What about Ghana? Is Ghana, are they part of this kind of global weakening of democracy, or is Ghana's democracy holding up pretty well?
I think Ghana democracy is holding up well because, as I indicated, we have from 1992 up to 93 properly up to now, we have 4 alternations, 8 years. And what is sustaining the country democracy? Number of reasons. Number one, the Ghanaian people believe that it's the only one we have. So we tried the military over the years, it never worked. So we just have to stick on to the democracy and get it to work better for us. 2, people have realized that we have in Ghana the Ghanaian concept of time. Look, you vote for you 4 years' time. 4 years, if you rig the elections, don't worry. 4 years will come very soon. 4 years will be very, very soon. Don't worry, it will be very, very soon. So 4 years' time, you go to the country. Now, some of the Ghanaian people, this is what their political culture that has been built over the time is that people don't believe in so much of going on strike and protesting in the street like in Paris. No, Paris is a very small thing, they're in the street, demonstrate. No. In Ghana, when there's something going on, people go and look for their voter ID card, clean it, and put it down. Wait for the next 4 years. I will come back to you. But there are some times when the light goes off, people write on the Facebook, I quickly look for the torch, look for my voter ID card, and clean, and wait for the government. If the water is not flowing, don't worry. I clean my voter ID card, I'm waiting for December the 7th. Go and cast my vote.
So there's a real faith.
There's a lot of faith in the elections, but not in the government, to be honest.
Right.
So, and the people are happy to change the government because you are not doing the right thing. But the truth is that whether the incoming government is going to do the right thing or not, that is not a secret. That's one of the things that we do to it. So there's a trust in elections, but not trust in government.
Sure. Yeah. A bit of a follow-up question. Do sort of democratic politics in other countries sort of influence Ghana's politics and social media and so on? And what I'm getting at is that, like, if you look at sort of European politics at the moment in certain countries and then American politics, there's clearly like a bit of feedback going on between populist movements in Europe then feeding into populism in America and maybe back and forth. And even in New Zealand, like not at all to the same degree. We haven't got that real intensity of populist politics here yet. But nonetheless, some of the ideas, the influences, it comes through social media, it comes through the normal media. Everyone in New Zealand every day is paying attention to American politics, so it can't help but affect sort of New Zealanders' views of the world and maybe even our own democracy to some degree? Does that happen in Ghana? Like, does the politics, democracies in Europe or America in any way influence how people in Ghana think about politics and democracy and so on?
In the past, I don't know whether it was coincident or what. We have our elections. The first election we had in 1992 was the same day the American had the elections. So when we had the election the same day, they ruled for 8 years. That was Clinton, ruled for 8 years with the Lawrence, which is a Democratic Party, center left. And then he lost power to NPP. NPP in Ghana also came to power with George Bush. So, which is also center right. So the center right NPP, center right Republican Party, center left NDC, center left Democratic Party. So that continued from that time. So and then in 2009, Obama came to power, center left, and the NDC came back to power, center left. So we were having that until 2016. 2016, Donald Trump came to power, center right. NPP came to power, center right. And then 2020, Donald Trump lost, but NPP continued. 2024, NPP lost, center right lost. Donald Trump came to power. So now we have to be able to, if we want, disentangle ourselves from the American elections, which we had at the same time. But in terms of the mood, in terms of the influence of the European elections, it's very minimal. Because the country that should have had a lot of influence on us would have been the British government, which is the Conservative and Labour Party. And unfortunately, there are times of elections and all this different from that. The American one is very critical to us because, the Republicans, their symbol is the elephant. The same thing, NPP symbol is the elephant as well. So in Ghana, we call it the elephant has lost. The elephant is coming back. And that plays a lot of psyche on the mind of the people. Unfortunately, that has gone to play. In terms of our neighbors, and you brought it together well, as I indicated, maybe I should go to the map and it will be clearer here. In terms of our neighbors, now, where Ghana is, our left is Togo, Benin, and Nigeria. Our right is La Côte d'Ivoire. Our top is Burkina Faso. Now, our neighbors don't have so much influence on us because the first place, those surrounding us are French-speaking. The only country next to us is Nigeria, and they've had alternation of power, I think, only once. So that is not having so much influence on us as well. And also, because of where we are located, it's important to also bring up terrorism. We are the safest country when it comes to terrorism because the terrorists have had impact in Burkina Faso. But one of the, the remnants of Muammar Gaddafi is failing so much on the West Africa now because of what the Obama and the team did to the Libyans. They've fallen from the Sahel, they've come down all the way to Burkina Faso. They've not been able to enter Ghana officially. I will say officially because our neighbors, all of them have experienced some form of terrorist activity. La Côte d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Togo, Benin, and the only one. According to the theorists, we are told that they always want to reserve one country as safe haven, where they can do their analysis, do their thinking and all that, and strike somewhere else. So we are hoping that they will keep Ghana continue to safe for us, so that they will not trigger any terrorist activity in our country. So in terms of influence or what you call the contagion effect of democracy from other countries, no, not yet. Yes, madam.
I guess continuing on from that a little bit, you were saying earlier that people in Ghana were increasingly kind of sympathetic to military leadership because of the
yes.
Yeah, the neighbouring country, of course, but you were also saying that democracy was holding well. So would there be another possibility for a military coup in the future, do you say, or would it be received well because of that?
Now,
if they followed that model from that.
Now, what happened is that guy, as I said, Traore is the name. He is in Burkina Faso, and a lot of people individual Ghanaians are happy with the work he's doing there. But when you come to Accra, the government have a very strong hold of the military. But the new government, when they came in, they sacked about 32 major generals, cleared all of them, and brought in a younger person to be in charge of the military. And the government can have some form of control over the military. We shouldn't forget that the current president we have, his name is John Mahama. John Mahama was a president from 2012 to 2016. He lost power. So when he went home for the last 8 years, he sat down and done his analysis over the look. If I want to be a successful president, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do, this way, and that is what he's doing now. So in terms of Ghana experiencing coup, not in the next 4 years, it will take a longer time. But the average Ghanaian in the village is very tasteful of a coup, but it will not happen.
Oh, so I'll go again quickly. Does Russia have any influence? Because in the past couple of years, every now and then I'll see an article saying, you know, Russia supporting this country where there's a coup and here and there. Is there any Russian influence in Ghana?
Yes, honestly, Russia. You know, when the current governments, the previous government that accepted that were in government, that was when the Russo-Ukraine wars started. And the president, there called Nana Akufo-Addo, was very loud and strongly against the Russians. And his argument was that he's a human rights activist. He thinks that the Russians were bullying the Ukrainians. And the Russian government vowed to remove the government, which they did. They did because in the 2024 elections, the NDC government that is in power now, or the NDC party, had a lot of money. And elections, money plays a significant role. A lot of role. You can do hundreds of adverts if you have the money, because the media stations are in for business. So the NDC government had a role. And they made very clear that they did it. So, but having done that, the Russian government seem not to be playing direct role but they are watching to see how. So the government continues to say, look, we are not supporting the Russians, we are not supporting the Ukrainians, we are an independent country doing everything we are supposed to do. But that's a security. The Russian government is just sitting somewhere watching what is going on. So Russia has influence. Yes, sir.
So you would say one party is center left, one party is
Yes.
center right. But is it only just in name only, or do you see consistencies in their policies?
In terms of policies, no. But in terms of name, and also in terms of global linkages, yes, because the MPP government is very close to the Republican Party, as I've mentioned. They're also close to the Conservative Party in the UK. They are close to the CDU Party in Germany as well. The NDC government is close to the Democratic Party in the US, close to the Labour Party, and also close to the SPD in Germany as well. So in terms of name, and also in terms of global linkages, yes. But when it comes to the actual policies on the ground, there's no difference. But MPP, which is the center right, engage more of social activities than the NDC, which is the center left. Because at the end of the day, as you know, in Africa, there are basic things that people need: water, education, this and this and this. And the NPP seem to be doing much more to favor the poor than the NDC itself. So in terms of policies, no, there's no difference between the two parties.
And also when it comes to youth participation within Ghana, like where do you see it going to? Because sometimes when things are dark, they can either go towards becoming more, or we want to get involved, or more towards what's the use. So what's the mood of the youth in Ghana?
Now, the mood of the youth, honestly, some of them are disenchanted, I would say, are disillusioned with the government, some of the youth, because youth finishing university, they are looking for opportunities that don't exist. So when the opportunity doesn't exist, they don't have so much faith in the government. However, some of the youth have also been well integrated and assimilated by the government, by the political party, because they think that it's a very fine means of getting opportunities in life, very fine means of getting integrated into the richer upper class in society. So some of the youth also get involved, highly involved in political activities, visibly. That people see that, look, you're the one organizing this, organizing that when the government comes to power, I was the one organizing this place. You need to find some corner for me to be able to exercise my university talent that I've exhibited in the past. So the youth, I would say that some of them are disillusioned, and therefore they are not interested in political activities at all. But some of them, I know some family that the father is actively involved in politics. The son refuses to go vote. They say they will not vote, but they don't see what the government can do for them. And some of them too, their parents are not involved, but they are getting involved because they think that there's some cake at the end of the day. That is what they get involved.
And last question.
Not can be more.
It's like your position within the presidency, right?
Yeah, when I was the director of research.
What is the main leakage? What's the main weakness in the institutional framework of Ghana? Would you say?
Institutional.
In institutional framework of Ghana, like what is the weakness in public institutions?
See, in terms of institution in Ghana, a lot of institutions in Ghana don't work because they are not, the personnel are not ready to go by the tenants of the institution. And the central government is unable to crack the whip, unfortunately. Because, for instance, because people are poorly paid, they come to work the time they want, close the time they want. Time that work that's supposed to be done with 20 hours is done with number of days because they are poorly paid. Because they are poorly paid, they are not able to exercise the functions of the public servants so well. Apart from the fact that they go to work late, you have a road being constructed, you have the supervisors being civil engineers by the ministries. At the end of the day, you will notice that the work is poorly done, but it's being satisfied by the civil servants with the ministry. So that is a big problem for us. One of them is I would say, poor remuneration for the administrative staff, and therefore the institution tenants are not worth it. Yeah. So we have weak institutions in that, very weak institutions who are not enforcing this. But if you get institutions to work and work very well, things will be much better than we have today.
And it starts with paying them properly.
Start paying them properly. Because you see, very interesting today. If you go to public services, some of the people, their salary is about $200, $500, but they have a very good cars
per month.
Some of the salaries are very poor paid because $200 is about 2,000 Ghana cedis or 2,400 Ghana cedis. Some people earn that amount of money. But that person who earns 2,400 Ghana cedis or somebody who earns $500 for instance, we travel in Land Cruiser. You drive Land Cruiser to work, fuel it, live in a plush apartment. And who is paying for that? Is the Ghanaian taxpayer paying for that? No, his salary is nothing. So you come in the work in the morning, greet everybody, go to town, do business, come back, go for lunch, come back, to home. The papers are filed on the table. You are paying him $250, you are paying him $300, while you expect him to sit down and work 2 to 7 hours. Yes. That's the sad part. People are poorly paid. In a number of African countries, civil servants are poorly paid. Nigeria is one. They are poorly paid, let's be very honest. And then the government, because you see, we all graduated from the same university. His colleagues go to the NGO sector, he's making it. His colleagues go to the business sector, he's making it. His colleagues go to the firm, he's making private sector, just in there making it. I've come to the public sector. We all go to the same markets. We all have children who want them to go to the same school. That will do well. We all go to the same church. We all the same mosque. So I must also find a means of meeting the need. And how to meet the need is to use public money. That's what we call corruption campaign. Yeah. Public time, public money. Any other question, please? Rumi, you have some questions for me? Yes.
I don't know, I just thought that interesting bit about, was it Burkina Faso? That's the one that's, how like we have these liberal examples that, for whatever reason, become kind of increasingly compelling into democracies, even in like the West to some degree. Some people look at Hungary as kind of a model, very illiberal democracy.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's just curious to me that despite the fact that I think most of us would agree democracy is to be a system, increasingly there's a sort of a mood or some people just going, well, do we actually care if it's a democracy or autocracy? Like maybe we just want economic growth and things like that. It's kind of a danger, or law and order, or whatever it is.
I think increasingly around the world, people want law and order and economic growth around the world. This is what it seems to be. People want law. So if you have a democracy and it's not working, people are not better. People want the road fixed. The police is working, the bureaucracy is working. Enough for them. Whoever sits at the top there,
and maybe as things seem more chaotic, just because there's so much information coming at us, people want the belief in like simplicity almost, like just someone to run things and tell us what to do.
That's it.
Might be quite nice, or some simplicity.
Yeah, without necessarily determining who that guy is.
Yeah.
Without necessarily determining who that is. So whether it's a man or woman, yellow, black, whatever, it's not important. But simply, there's law or order. Yeah. And economic growth. People are paid well, they can have a standard of living is improving. Because if you look at the Huntington and Coast theory, you have to have some minimum level of economic development to ensure that democracy thrives. However, people are thinking, you know what? Yes, we have to have everybody. If there's some level of economic development, and economic development is about myself, my community, my immediate community, and the bigger community is doing well. And there's a guy or a woman or whatever is sitting on top there. I'm not interested. I don't get involved with it. The system is the simplest life is working for me, and it's enough for them. People are getting used to it. And as we agree or not, now people want fast life.
Yeah.
As compared to the 80s when you have to write letters and people take their time. More people want fast life, and therefore anything that will block the system, get away from it. Yes, sir.
I think that's one of the main advantages that, for example, the Chinese Communist Party would have. Right?
Yeah.
It's like even though they suppress free speech and freedom and all of that stuff, right? Like we can admit that over the past 40 years, their standard of living has improved.
Yeah.
Right. So that leads to the question of, and I did ask my 300 and my 500 level students this question: is like, would you rather have a democratic country that has got poor economic prospects, or an authoritarian country that has got great economic prospects, right? So I know that you can have both, right? And we've seen evidence of both. But let's say those are the only two options you've got. What would you choose?
Oh, a lot of them will choose the economic growth, of course.
They would choose the more economic
Yeah,
growth.
economic growth. Yeah, economic growth.
It leads to your argument that, does not matter who's on top.
Yeah,
As long as they can feed their kids and their family.
and then to go.
Isn't that the point?
Yes, madam.
Singapore is an example of good economic growth with autocracy, like at the beginning.
And even South Korea. South Korea to the same. Yeah.
Taiwan.
Yeah. So, the underlying factor is that people want to see some form of their economy growing. So the guys in at the top, interested in him. The immediate environment, yes, we're interested in that. And whether we like it or not, those were the days where people didn't see what was going on in other communities. Now people see whatever is going everywhere. And therefore think that, look, this guy is Auckland, is benefiting, he's having this life. I can be in Hamilton here, also benefit the same life. So what the hell is going on in Wellington? We don't care about what is going on in Wellington. Right? That's not what is going on here. Yes, sir.
This is just more of a personal opinion.
Okay.
I think democracy only thrives when you've got a meritocratic system.
Meritocratic system.
Yeah, when people who are qualified get into office. But in a lot of situations, you find that we would choose a government, right? We'll choose a particular party. But now that party gets to choose who occupies certain, heads of departments, stuff like that. And in my personal opinion, I don't think that works well when you can just choose anybody willy-nilly based on, oh, this person is like loyal to me. Look at Trump, for example, right? He chooses people who are not qualified at all. I mean, RFK has got no medical experience. Pete Hegseth was in the military, but he's got no experience being in government, right? So democracy works when you focus on the qualification of people rather than their identity or their loyalty towards And I don't know if people in here would
But you see, that is also one of the debates that has been going on in the area of political science, because you want to have qualified people qualified to be at certain places, but you also want to ensure that their loyalty is more important to you than the merit of the person. Because you want to ensure that this person who is in charge of defense is more loyal to me than being qualified to be here head of defense. So somebody may not be fully qualified, but they want to say, look, you want to organize a very strong team who are technical and capable people to be and support the person. But in politics, honestly, having said that, I always say, look, loyalty is more important than merit. You want people who are more loyal to you so that you can sleep.
Yeah, so they don't step in the back.
You step in the back. Because somebody may be qualified, well qualified, but they can stab you at the back.
But isn't that just self-defeating in the sense of, like, if you don't choose qualified people, that will negatively impact the economy of the country, and that will just lead to more disillusionment to the system?
But see, the truth is that the politician first loyalty is how long I must stay in this seats.
Yeah.
That's the first thing to him before talking about the economy. How long am I staying on the seats? I will be elected, whether in the UK or the US or Ghana or Nigeria or even here. How long am I staying on this seat is the first thing. So what must I do to ensure that I'm forever sitting on this seat? That's what the politician thinks. So it's the economic development. Is it this? Is it this? I will keep it here. That's what the politician thinks. Every politician. Honor, capture power, maintain power, make sure the power grows. Political party, that is capture power, maintain it, make sure the power grows. So he has captured the power. How do I maintain it? How do I make sure the power grows? That's what yes. Any question again? All right. So, Ruben, if there's no question, I think I have that.
Yeah, well, on behalf of everyone here, thanks a lot for that incredible talk, Isaac. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone for coming.